There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than?
Okay, cool. And in 3, 2, 1. Why did you? Oh, okay.
Amazing.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, what's up? Welcome into episode number 169 of the Program Guys podcast. My name is Mason Prince, joined with you as always by Matt Gann, Patrick Kirchberger, Mark Hall. Today is Rosie and Margo going at it in background. Today is Thursday, April 3rd. Be sure to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. Gentlemen, we're back. How we doing? How's everybody living? I feel like my mic is hella hot right now, so I'm just going to turn that down. How we doing, boys? Also, April Fool's Day is like one of my least favorite days. Yeah, I hate it.
Do we want to talk about it? Do we want to talk about what's in the outline?
Yeah, I just saw it and it reminded me.
Yes.
Someone posted that Oklahoma Gaylord family, Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. Wow, I didn't say that right.
Close.
Was they're scheduled to increase capacity to 95 to 100,000 upgraded press box and suites. And that was a tweet from somebody that I think was an April Fool's joke. 100%. But we pre-show were like, oh, we should talk about this like in case it was real. And I look back and there had been talks from the Board of Regents to hear it in February, like something similar to that. Now, the tweet was a joke, but I think it is being seriously considered. Like, I know the press box thing is being for real considered because the press box is a dump, and I think everybody knows it's a dump. So,
yeah. I was surprised to see the suite upgrade just because I feel we've recently created those suites, but maybe there's more suites that could use a bit of an upgrade. And to the point of like increasing the stadium capacity to 95 to 100K makes a ton of sense.
I mean, yeah, you'd like to, and the stadium size for sure. Just to get it out of the way, I'm pretty sure it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Which is why I hate the holiday so much. But I do, go ahead, Mark.
No, it's just, you're right. It's a great idea. It's why it got traction yesterday. The thing is, like Pat said, we just did this. We just did the bowl, right? That's not that far in the rear view. And you want to use capital right now. You want to put cash to work right now. It's not for a stadium that's going to be ready in 2027. It's for your NIL fund. It's for going and getting a Jim Nagy. We're not doing that right now. Remember the $175 million facility that was going to be built? Bet we never see that at this point. That's not where your money goes to work anymore. Maybe we see with the House settlement that like that changes, but my red flags went up immediately when I didn't see something from the OU football account on it. April Fool's Day, man. It used to be fun. It used to be fun. And I don't think it's because we got older. I think it's because people take it and put it to use on like social media now. And it's the only place we know where to get stuff.
Right.
Matt, your thoughts? Do you love April Fool's Day? You strike me as a man who loves April Fool's Day.
I think used to be. I mean, I used to be known as the class clown back in the day. So this used to be something I used to mark on the calendar each and every year. But those days are far beyond me and far behind in the past. I would say maybe middle school, high school, maybe a little bit of college, where you guys were all together in one place and I could make it all happen. A little bit harder to do. Can't really do that at work. You know, it's just not the same.
Matt pulled a good April Fool's on me, actually. This weekend we were both at the same weddings.
Oh, nice.
He made a very concerted effort to make sure we all got pictures together.
Matt does.
Me and my wife, Matt and his lady, and he promised me on Sunday when my wife was going to change shoes into comfortable shoes. He was like, "Are you sure you don't want to real fast go take a picture first? Like do the pictures before we do that? We wanted to post you guys double wedding, double weekend." And so my wife, she's, my wife on her heels still after hitting the dance floor in them. And
Crushed it.
we take the pictures and all good. Now the rest of the night goes by. And then yesterday on April Fool's Day, as we record, the pictures go up and we're nowhere to be found. There's a little video where you see us. But look, it's their social media. They can do what they want. But betrayal, I don't think is too big a word.
Objective third party, Patrick, your opinion.
Pretty good April Fool's joke.
Pretty good
so.
April Fool's joke.
I would say so.
Cooked me.
You got
Can't
ganned.
get it out of him.
You got ganned, man. You truly did.
Always gonna have one last joke in me, you know.
You are. You know what's a joke? The Oklahoma basketball team, but they're not going to be a joke for much longer because Trae Young is the new GM for the Oklahoma basketball team. He in a $1 million donation. I'm curious what that $1 million goes towards. It's very, very nice, right? It's very nice of Trae Young, but in today's day and age of college athletics, really, what does $1 million get you?
Especially in basketball.
I don't know. And I don't want to minimize it. Like Trae Young, that's $1 million more than I've ever given to the basketball team. So like, I want to give him credit where it's due. But like, they put it in there like they're sweetening the pot. And I think the Trae Young piece is bigger. We didn't need to know about the $1 million. I think the Trae Young thing's bigger than that.
I think it's probably from the Trae Young camp and part of his ongoing, all credit to him, investment in Norman. He's built parks. He's put on basketball camps locally. He's very invested in it, and I almost think they sort of see a lane where it's like, all right, Trae Young is not the best point guard in basketball, but he can be a legend for what he does for Oklahoma basketball.
Right.
And we've already seen the impact that he can have as a alumni hero that brought Aaliyah Chavez to town. Not that was it, but we know they were in close contact. I think it's a great move. I think it's a great move bringing him in. The $1 million, to your point, isn't going to go as far as it sounds like it might, but yeah. I think bringing Trae deeper into the fold is a great move. I'd love to see Blake come back.
Yeah, 100%. And Matt, I have a question for you. I saw something about like the Lubbock to Norman connection, like Aaliyah Chavez, obviously from Lubbock, going to OU. They cited like Baker Mayfield, and they said something about. I saw the tweet. It said something about Trae Young. He live in? He was born in Lubbock. I didn't know that.
I think so. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know he obviously grew up in Norman. I'm not sure where he was actually born at, but I think
Googled it. Lubbock.
Okay, so obviously he's got that connection, but grew up, I think, most of his childhood in Norman. So bringing back and giving back to the community, obviously to what Mark said, he built the Young Life gym that has a lot of basketball. It's almost like a larger YMCA for the Norman community, the parks and everything else that he's doing for Norman. So just a reminder of what these ex-OU alumni or athletes are doing for the community. And Trae Young obviously has the ability to give more back. So glad that he's a part of it. I think he's only going to make huge contributions, not only to his hometown in Norman, but to the OU basketball program and where that is going to move forward. I wonder if it's both men's and women's, that $1 million donation, or is it specifically the men? Hopefully it's just the entire program itself, because both can really need different resources allocated differently for where they're heading currently. So love to see him back in the role. He's following really what other NBA players such as Steph Curry is also doing at Davidson for his alma mater. So I think this is going to continue to be a recurring theme, but love having Trae on board.
Matt, did you guys overlap at all? Did you see him play in high school?
Yeah, I think I was a senior when he was freshman, sophomore. I think there was potentially 1 year overlap, or maybe I was in 1 year in college when he was starting out, because I think he's like 4 or 5 years younger than me.
Yeah, he's a little bit.
The math, obviously Matt would know the math better than me, but I think Matt saw his 1 year at OU. You would have seen him at Norman.
Yeah.
like
Yes.
that at Norman North.
That's got to be right.
So that's just me. Patrick, your thoughts on Trae Young?
First thought is I would like to think this $1 million was kind of a conversation of, hey, I would like to become this assistant GM. Here's some things that I would like to change immediately, and here are the funds for those few things. So that's what I think probably went down. Other comment, wasn't he kind of known as like a selfish person slash teammate?
That
Because
I think
this
is
is
a local feel.
that right, because this is not what someone does, building the parks, building the gyms, donating $1 million. Like that is not what a selfish person does. So I feel like that was his reputation as well when he was at OU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
but back to
people
Mark's point,
change.
it's probably not coming directly from his pocket. It's probably coming from the foundation that
Sure.
he started, which again still is a
Still.
part of what he is encompassing. But obviously, it's not coming straight from his like NBA pay salaries from the foundation that he started.
Yeah.
All good things.
Patrick, you're 100% right though. We were coming off of Buddy, and it felt like Trae was just a different kind of guy, and he never passed the ball to anyone. And several people transferred out right when he left. Like all of that's real. And also off the court, maybe he's just a different guy, right? We don't.
Mhm.
I don't know that, and he's putting his money where his mouth is in a way that, to Mason's point, none of us probably ever will.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I hope something like this happens with our football players in the future too. Could see it with Baker, definitely.
Unrelated point, and Mark would know this better. He knows NBA better than me. Trae Young needs to get the hell out of Atlanta. Get out of Atlanta. Like, I don't know where. He's got to go somewhere where someone's going to watch him play basketball. Because I guarantee you people ain't watching him play on the Hawks outside of Atlanta or the Southeast. Because I haven't. The Hawks is not appointment viewing for me.
And it's the Hawks' fault, right?
Right.
Their second best
Right.
player is Dyson Daniels. All he does is play defense. He might be the defensive player of the year. All he does is play defense, right?
Yeah.
The DeJounte Murray was supposed to be that big investment, and that just isn't it. You got to get him someone he can really play the pick and pop with, the pick and roll with, and Atlanta has never been able to do that. He's been there how long now? Longer than Luka Doncic was with the Mavs.
Since
Luka play
2017.
that pick and roll, 2018.
Yeah.
2018 draft.
Okay.
He's got to get out of Atlanta. I agree with that.
Yeah. And
They've never given him a number 2.
no. Wow. So sorry. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of the Trae Young saga. You know who's not getting the $1 million that Trae Young is putting in Oklahoma basketball? Jeremiah Fears. He announces that he is going to make millions and millions of more dollars in the NBA draft, which is the most no-brainer move that there's ever been. Like that dude did not need to come back. I wish he would have. I'm not saying I wanted him gone by any means, but does anyone blame Jeremiah Fears for walking away?
Wish him the best.
Yeah, and then there was another transfer that was announced today as well on Tuesday.
Duke Miles.
Duke
Guys
Miles
started all games for OU this year. I think averaged less than 10 points, couple rebounds, couple assists, and a couple steals. So I guess not shocked, but you're going to start seeing more and more transfers, and there's been a lot of transfer buzz about reaching out to other guys. So it's just that time of the year.
I think that's it. He can either OU's not going to invest in him, or he can maybe find another more money elsewhere. You're a senior guard.
Yeah.
But good
Go
for
get your money.
Jeremiah. Good for Jeremiah Fears, because I
That.
think he has obviously earned. He's just going to turn. I think he just turned 19 in October, right? He's so young and yet
This
still
coming.
has. Yeah, still has a lot of years of basketball ahead. But he was on the Paul Philbine show when he made his announcement earlier this morning. So it's always been a dream come true to play in the NBA, and just felt like it was the right time to do so.
he's
I
on
was lucky
purpose.
to walk into a great situation with Oklahoma with a lot of opportunity after earning SEC All Freshman honors, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He was probably the only reason that OU even got close to,
Right.
or why they got into the tournament when he finished the year with 29 and 28 at Georgia and Kentucky. So good for Fears. This is probably to be expected, being a top 10 pick, and good luck to whoever the team drafts him. He's going to be a remarkable player.
Amazing.
He is. And he's going to make a ton of money. ESPN's got him projected as the number 11 pick in the draft. He's
Okay.
going to be a lottery pick. I'd be shocked if he fell far below that. But that's, you got to go. You got to go.
Who's the number one? Who has the
Cooper
best odds
Flag.
right now? Well, I know
Cooper
who
Flag.
for like the first pick in the
Oh.
lottery.
I don't think that's come out yet. I don't think they've done the
I mean,
draft.
who has
lotto
the
until-
worst record?
Who's the worst team?
Yeah, who's the
That's real
worst
question.
team?
Gosh, probably the
I'll find
Wizards.
it. Matt, talk about it. Yeah.
Wizards. Are the Spurs struggling?
Pistons, Spurs.
Shout out
Seven.
Ryan
So
Tyson.
I'll give you the last three teams in each conference. We got the Sixers, whose pick would go to the Thunder in the trade.
Amazing.
Cooper Flag,
at-
come on down, baby.
At third worst in the East, the Hornets, and then Wizards at 14 and 15. So good call, Hugh Gann. And then in the West, Ryan Tyson's San Antonio Spurs at 13th, followed by the Pelicans and the Jazz. These teams are blatant about it.
Yeah, Danny Ainge, you ain't slick. I know what you're doing. But
They're 5 games back from the 14 seed.
it's insane.
You don't need to be slick. Cooper Flag is the most perfect Utah Jazz.
I mean, yeah, 100%.
Come on.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. What was I gonna say? Why are the Spurs so bad? Has Wemby been hurt? Wemby's hurt,
yes,
right?
Wemby missed more than half of the season.
Right.
By the time it's
Right.
all said and done, he was on
Right.
pace for a first-team All-NBA kind of role.
Right. I got you. Okay, cool. Let us know down below in the comments what you think about Jeremiah Fears heading to the NBA draft. Okay, some transfer news. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Jake Mikula?
That's what I've been saying.
I think that's it. Jake
Has to be.
Mikula. All I know is he's an offensive lineman from Stanford, and he has visits to OU and UCLA this weekend. 16 starts, 7 games at center, 5 at left guard, 4 at right guard. Allowed 3 sacks on over 1,000 snaps, 6'5", 295. I guarantee you he's going to play center. I would bet money. But that's a big center. 6'5" is a big center.
You love it.
But I'm all about it. I'm not going to hate on it.
Well, with Bill B loving to rotate his line, he'll find the perfect spot for this guy, and he'll be versatile. So at least he'll plug and play.
He'll play all 3 spots on
Yeah.
the interior offensive line by game 4.
Yeah.
Truly, knowing Bill, that's exactly what would happen if he comes to Oklahoma. If he wants to stay out west at UCLA, then do you, man? But yeah. Any thoughts?
Country.
Any thoughts on Mikula?
It'd be a great addition. I think the offensive line is probably one of the bigger question marks since there was so many injuries and obviously just didn't hold up quite. I think they really came on later in the year, but were very inconsistent throughout. So have a guy who's played quite a bit of snaps, different positions, can be able to be plug and play wherever he can fit. I think the line is going to be, again, the biggest question mark for the year and how we're going to be able to compete on that side of the ball. So having an experienced guy like this would only be a great addition.
Reminds me a lot of when Troy Everett committed out of Appalachian State. Now, obviously, these are guys towards the end of their career versus, the very beginning with Troy Everett. So it's not 1-to-1 by any means. Maybe combine him with Walter Rouse because he's coming from Stanford. But a guy who early on, like he's found a spot at center. He played some guard. There was talk of him just being a guard. He was the backup at that position. He was the backup at center, got the starting job at center. Now he doesn't play any guard, but someone like Jake Mikula could step in, learn all of those roles because he's older by several years than all the guys that we have at those positions and really provide, even if he's not a starter, the best kind of depth because there's a lot of talent underneath the starters, whoever they end up being. I think EPL has a real chance at left guard, but there's not a lot of grown-ups back there. So I think, fingers crossed, I think unless, to your point, Mason, he wants to stay out west, I think it could be a huge get.
I like the 6'5" number. 6'5", 295. That's easily get him in the door, bulk him up to 315. That's a fun time. 6'5", 315, you're never going to turn your nose up at that if you can get that. Now that's me giving him 25 pounds
I
or
love the
20 pounds.
we do. It's
Yeah,
just
right. It's
get in
fun.
come on, we got a better
It's just
program.
It's not hard for
Stanford.
you. It's not hard for you to gain 20 pounds. It's not difficult. Just do it.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, it's fine. I do want to talk about Bo Bentley. We'll jump down to Bo Bentley for the sake of flow. The 4-star 2026 quarterback. He's down to 3 schools: Oklahoma, LSU, and Georgia. And Mark, you had a point about Bo Bentley that you sent in our group message that I want you to go ahead and make now.
I don't remember exactly the thing, but basically, it's going to be really funny when Georgia gets both of them. When
Yeah.
Georgia gets Bo
That
Bentley
was what I wanted.
and Jaden O'Neal. Yeah, that. I think we're very clearly in a spot where the dominoes have to start falling. You look at Georgia and they've got their eye on, I think his name is Jacob Curtis. He's the #1 quarterback in the country, according to some of these places. And he's between Oregon and Georgia. He's an Oregon commit right now, but Georgia's been flirting. And so if he picks Georgia, Jaden O'Neal's going to have a decision to make about where to be. And Bo Bentley is too. It's sort of turned out that Bo Bentley might be a better quarterback than Jaden O'Neal, but Jaden O'Neal has been big in the recruiting in Oklahoma to this point. Daniel Odom commits to Oklahoma as a result of Jaden O'Neal. Now, he might be looking as well. There's a lot going on, but it does seem like Ben Arbuckle and the new focus of the staff has been on Bo Bentley. And it might be that even if Curtis picks Georgia, Bo Bentley is still the guy that Oklahoma ends up with. We sent several commits packing at the end of last offseason, or I guess at the beginning of this offseason right now. Marcus Harris is at Washington. We sent another receiver going, I think. You could see that coming down the pipeline, and it'll be nicer, but I think you can see this coming down the pipeline. We want Bo Bentley.
Do you agree with Mark, Pat?
Matt?
No, I
Pat.
said Pat. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that Bo Bentley wouldn't be in the conversation if we had faith in Jaden O'Neal to be the next guy. And when we first got Jaden O'Neal, that was our next guy, right? So
It's huge.
something changed, probably Arbuckle influence, most likely. But man, I would be super excited for either of them, and I hope we just get one of them.
Commitment's got to mean something, Matt.
Yep, and that's what's been tested with Jade O'Neal when he previously or recently took a visit to Georgia. But again, what are you going to tell these guys on an ongoing basis when these top schools are asking them to come and obviously either probably pulling out a big NIL bag or can potentially give them a spot on the team and make an impact right away. So it'll be really interesting to see how the dominoes play out. I think getting either one of them would be a good addition to the incoming or to that recruiting class, because that recruiting class doesn't have too much to build around at this point, but having a solidified centerpiece at quarterback to continue to recruit on your behalf, never a bad place to be. Just hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.
The thing that I side with on Brent Venables, and I'm not sure anybody doesn't side with him on this, but what exactly do you want schools to do if you commit to Oklahoma and you go take visits? You're just supposed to sit back on your hands and like not go try to recruit somebody. And then the recruit gets mad that you're going to talk to somebody else. I don't know how these kids' brains work. Like, you get to go talk to somebody else, but now we're going to put ourselves in a position to get screwed if you are a 17-year-old kid and make a knee-jerk decision. Like, No,
Great point.
it's not. And I'm not knocking these kids at all. Like go to the school that you want to go to. But if you're going to commit, this then Brent Venables and company are counting you in. They're counting you as part of the count. And if you if you waver, they have to make plans. There are jobs on the line, and they can't have you dictating whether or not their 2026 class is full of bums or not. They can't do it. I'm not breaking any news.
No,
I'm sure.
I like the point. I was thinking about a different part of it, which is that it seems like something has changed at least at quarterback, where no one's asking Brent about the policy when it comes to Jaden O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the question that's being asked anymore. And it almost seems more self-enforcing among the class than necessarily being harped upon publicly by the coaching staff. Whereas when this all started, it was very vocally the point, right? You are committed to Oklahoma. It's a privilege to play for Oklahoma. Now it seems like everything comes down to some sort of final bidding war. And even if you lose that bidding war at first, you're still trying to be in the game. And we're just not, at least with quarterback, I think something has changed. And I think once these guys lock in with the school, it's hard to get them out.
I saw one of those tweets today, and it kind of, I don't want to say it made me mad because I think the person who tweeted it is kind of a moron anyway, and I'm not gonna mention the name of it. But they said NIL. It was like that standing up meme of, like, I think it was Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, where he stands up in the crowd or whatever, and he posted that, and he was like, NIL is supposed to be for endorsements and all this stuff. It's never supposed to have been for paying players by boosters. Yeah, man, no shit, but it's not. This is where we are. So play the game or sit down and shut up. You're not changing anything. You're changing nothing. The NCAA opened the can of worms. They screwed everything up. Everybody's aware. Everyone's playing by the same rules. Just do it. Just do it. I don't care if you're having to do shady backroom deals to hand a kid a $5 million bag. I don't care. That's the game. Play the game or suck at football and don't get anybody. That's the game. I don't get it.
When Ole Miss and A&M started doing it so openly, this was always, unless legislation or regulation of some sort was passed to restrict it heavily, this was always where we were going to go. Is every team has to load up and arm up. And again, it's kind of a lazy complaint at this point. This is the game we're in. This has been the atmosphere for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Matt, when are you going to start donating your money directly into the pockets of Jaden O'Neal?
Maybe not specifically Jay O'Neal, but definitely to the OU football program at some point. I will contribute. I have given my blood, sweat, and tears ever since growing up in Norman. So when I get to a point where I can give back, that's what I'll do. I bleed crimson and cream. You'll have to bury me in Gaylord when it's all said and done.
You're gonna
I will.
have to start giving.
They won't have to rename the building. Okay, the number one quarterback of the 2000s, Baker Reagan Mayfield. This, according to ESPN, it's a vote. It was a vote that people voted on the best quarterback of the 2000s. Baker Mayfield was first, Kyler Murray 7th, Sam Bradford 15th, Dylan Gabriel 24th, Jalen Hurts 27th, Jason White 36th, Landry Jones 43rd. Did it go to, was it top 50? There's no way they did 100. There's no way.
I think it was top 50 if I look back at my tweet.
Okay. But I am completely fine with Baker Mayfield as number one. I think
I'll take it.
Don't we do this every offseason?
I think so.
Didn't we do this segment last offseason.
Pretty
I'd
sure
be
we did.
interested to see how it changes, but Baker's gonna be number one forever at
Yeah.
this point. No one stays long enough.
Mm,
No one stays long enough in one place and wins enough. It
mm.
just doesn't happen. And all Baker did was win. I mean, you can point at the playoff lack of success, but Baker Mayfield is just about as good a college quarterback as we've seen stick
Yeah.
around for as long as he did.
Yeah. And see, that's where I want to give OU fans a lot of credit because yeah, the lack of playoff success is the glaring thing on his resume, but that's to no fault of his own. That dude went out there and balled out. In his 2 playoff appearances, that dude balled out. And I'll never forgive Mike Stoops. I say it every time. I'll never forgive him, but that's a damn good quarterback and a damn good football player, and that's a dude who wins a national title if he's on a team with a defense with a pulse. Like and they sleepwalk. They sleepwalk. That team with Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, and Samaje Perine. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That team
think it was Dede,
sleepwalks to a
right?
title. Yeah. Oh well, Dede
But
was
both of
earlier.
them make it to New York.
Yeah, the first year was Dede. Yes, correct. I'm talking about his
Oh,
second
okay.
year.
My bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
when they lost to
I just got that
Georgia.
mixed up.
No, yeah,
Ronnie
that first
Anderson.
year
Yep.
with Dede was their like kind of Cinderella story because Baker made the Heisman Trophy ceremony when kind of an unsung transfer, and Dede had that amazing year. Had that amazing game against Texas, he balled out. He looked so. Just those 2 stick out for sure. But yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It's going to be Baker no matter what. I'm kind of shocked Kyler was 7th. I thought he'd be higher. I thought Kyler maybe sneak into the top 5, like B5. Now I know you can't, put him that high, higher than that, but I think like 5 would be good in my estimation.
I just think I was actually surprised he was that high because
Okay.
you've got, Tim Tebow, Cam Newton. You've got Joe Burrow. That's
Okay.
immediately another 3. And then is Kyler going to be 5th? Maybe. I mean, 5, 6, 7 is not that far of a jump, but Kyler's the best quarterback I've ever seen at the same
He's,
time. And I think that's why he's so high, is he's the best college quarterback I've ever seen. He could do anything on the field.
he's a freak. He's a video game. Matt, you got any problem with the list?
And it was top 90 quarterbacks
What a
of the
weird number.
2000s. Yeah, I'm not even sure why they couldn't make it another 10, but um, yeah, I agree where Baker should be because some of those guys like Cam Newton, Vince Young, Burrow didn't stay as long. They definitely probably had better seasons than Baker Mayfield had, obviously with national championships to add to their resume. But when you talk about an overall career standpoint, Baker was there the longest and proved to be the most winning quarterback on the field. So definitely agree with the list, and it's nice to see multiple OU quarterbacks because we are QBU.
Dylan Gabriel ahead of Jalen Hurts is blasphemy, though. I will
That's
say
what.
that. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, that makes
That's
no sense.
crazy.
Guys, he
I
owns
just
records. I mean, like
yeah, because he
it's
played
the
6
longevity.
years.
It's the
Yeah,
longevity.
No.
I give
yeah,
you that. But that's
yeah.
what we're doing here.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll give you. I'll concede that point. I
I
will.
think I think Landry Jones should be higher. I just
Dude did a
I know
lot.
that I know that, right? Is like, yeah, he wasn't Sam Bradford and he wasn't what came later, but a lot of teams would have liked to have Landry Jones.
Yeah, for like a 4-year starter or whatever he
Yeah.
was. Like I mean, he owned a lot of records. Him and Ryan Broyles were a damn problem for a lot of people. Um, Landry Jones, I think as time passes, the more he's appreciated.
Yeah.
It was hard for him just because he was in the era like OU had lost the national title with Bradford, and people still felt as though like they had enough firepower to be that force. And I think Landry was good and maybe even a great college quarterback. It just wasn't enough. he didn't have enough juice. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But he's a very great football player.
16,646 passing yards. That's the most in college football. That's the most. No one has passed it since then.
Yeah. 4-year starter, dude. Even Dylan Gabriel playing 7 years or whatever it's been.
Didn't get
pass
there.
it. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. Playing their entire conference, or I went to the page. Playing their entire careers for power conference teams. So Dylan Gabriel probably does have more, and it just doesn't count the same.
Gotcha.
That's on me.
It shouldn't.
No, it's okay. Jason White at 36th is honestly funny to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like he was good for a year. He was good for a year. Matt, are you a Jason White guy?
That was probably my only thing with the list. I appreciate who Jason White is and was as a player, but don't think he was better than Landry Jones in his career. So a little bit surprised that he was higher than Landry. I know they're not too far apart, but show some respect for Jones, man. That was kind of like when I was just growing up and finally realizing OU football, and Landry and Broyles were a big part of that. So a little bit surprised on it.
I got to OU, and I remember seeing Landry Jones longboard down the South Oval, like on my way to like my first class of the year. Thought it was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, this guy
was big.
I know. Pat knows. Pat gets it.
Pat gets it.
Right. But no? Okay. You don't? All right. This is the news that I wanted to get to because this is kind of a real quick discussion. Brent Venables had an interview with Josh Pate from what's his show called?
CBS.
I don't know what his show's called. Yeah, it works for CBS. But he interviewed Brent, and an hour-long interview. If you got the time, go ahead and go listen to it. But really, the thing that kind of stuck out to us was that Brent Venables said that he was OU's defensive play caller in the 2022 season. Did anyone know that?
I had no idea, and especially not during the season.
I had no idea at all.
Talked about it at all.
No. Ted Roof was just nowhere to be found. Go ahead.
Got to get there. Gabe and Teddy have started saying it in podcasts for the last handful of months, I guess. Okay. Since Brent said he was going to be the play caller, or maybe a little before that, and they talk about it like it might have always been the plan at this point. For one, that wasn't public information. We had a defensive coordinator. Yeah. And for two, that wasn't really the plan from everything that we know. And so these guys are alumni, they're heroes, they're legends with sources within the program. They're going to do a little spin, but no, we didn't know that. What was Ted Roof on staff for?
He wasn't recruiting. That's for damn sure.
Why was he taking press conferences?
I don't know.
Could have had a quarterback coach.
It makes me want to reevaluate.
Could have had a quarterback coach.
Makes me want to reevaluate that entire season and everything that happened from a defensive standpoint.
Makes me reevaluate Brent Venables a little bit. What do you mean? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is this person getting a paycheck at this point? What is he adding?
No,
and I think we've improved, but gosh darn.
Yeah. I don't under.
We could talk about this all night. Yeah, I've got no problem.
Well,
this is weird. Go ahead.
Also makes the Zach Alley thing more clear. And also, at the time, BV said he tried to keep Ted Roof to some capacity as well.
It does sort of help explain why Brent felt comfortable interceding, because he had just come off of calling plays again. We thought he wasn't, but he was doing his thing.
I didn't think he called plays for the last 4 years. I knew he had his hand in it.
Right.
Hey,
we didn't.
Maybe he called plays last year.
I think, I'm sure he called some of them. That's why Zach's gone.
Yeah, I guarantee he overrode some of them. Overrode some of them?
Overrode.
Yeah, overrode. But yeah, I don't understand this. Why offer up this information? Other because like Brent's using it as like, well, this isn't a big deal that I'm calling plays. And I'm like, I've done it forever. Like, yeah, dude, but you were the head coach and hired a dude, put him on staff for what? You paid him a coordinator's salary for what? I don't get I don't get it. And I understand where Brent's coming from. He's trying to do damage control and be like, everybody don't freak out. I'm fine. We got it. Like, it's good. I'm going to call the defense. I've done it before. When I did it, we were really good. We were a 10-win team, a win away from going to the college football playoff. I remember him saying that quote directly in the interview. Well, yeah, dude, but no one knew you were effing doing it. And you kept it a freaking secret for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Hey, someone tell me. Why is it a secret? Like, do you not want people to know in a game? Was it strategic? It's your defensive scheme. I doubt it gave you any advantage. There's no way it did.
This makes me question and reevaluate just the whole coaching tenure so far. Why didn't he do this in the beginning? Was he only doing it that season? Why was he bringing in? I mean, it's just been such a questionable hire so far, and I think we all agree we want BV to be the guy. But then we learn more and more, and we're just questioning ourselves: is he the head coach of OU football moving forward? Can he be that guy? And obviously, this season will tell us a little bit more, but just makes you really think, what has been going on the last few years and how we gotten to this point.
It's just goofy. He's like, he's the head coach, but he doesn't act like it. But then he wants all the credit of the head coach, but he doesn't do all the things the head coach does. But he wants you to think that he is, but he's still really the defensive coordinator. It's just like mental gymnastics. I don't get it. You hire someone to run your offense so you don't have to worry about it, so you can be the head coach and focus on the whole team. But in reality, you're probably calling defense still. You're probably doing it. Because that's why Zach Alley was pissed off and left or whatever it is. Which, like, I'm not upset about Zach Alley. I get it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm so confused why no one knew about this, and what do you gain from it being secret, and what do you gain from admitting it now? All it does is make it look worse. It doesn't make it look better. And Brent's got to be smarter than that.
I'm questioning the offensive stuff now as well with Seth Luttrell again, and how he just didn't have a pulse. He didn't have a pulse on the offense because he wasn't paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Brent,
Brent.
buddy.
Yeah. Hey, Brent, we're going to run this triple option BS nonsense with Hawkins this week. You cool with it? Yeah. Don't worry. I'm doing a stunt right now. Like, come back later.
Yeah.
I'm figuring out this stunt package we're going to run. Like, dude, what? I don't
It's a
understand.
justifiable decision to call the plays in 2025.
Sure.
It is probably the right decision once you lose out on Jim whatever. Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles. That's what it is. Great defensive coordinator. Name just escaped me. This makes you look like an incompetent head coach. And there's a lot of us that have really supported your tenure as head coach. What are you doing? Like, it's fine justification for calling the plays this year, but it calls into question what you've been doing the entire time. And that's the thing that I'm not sure Brent even really gets, is like, all right, you called the plays that year. I get bringing Zach Alley in. I think Zach Alley's a brilliant defensive coordinator, and he's going to be successful at West Virginia. But why did we even go after Jim Knowles? Why are we like, what
Again,
else have
right.
you been doing behind the scenes that like isn't what Bob did. Like that's supposed to be your muse, right? Is
Mhm.
Bob.
Yeah.
Not some shit Bob did. He let you know what was going on. Weird.
Let us know down below in the comments what you think of the whole interview with Josh Pate. Okay, PGP MVP of the week time. Let's go ahead and
Wagans? Wagans.
oh,
WaGanns?
Wagans. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, let's circle real quick. I'll make it quick for everybody. Starting with softball, 32-3, 9-3 in conference play. Just finished up their third series in the SEC. Sorry, fourth series in the SEC against Tennessee, winning one out of the three games. They lost the first 2-5 in extra innings when Tennessee hit a late home run in, I believe, the eighth. Came back. Kirsten Deal played a really good game in the second, got a complete game, winning 4-1, but then losing that rubber match 3-5. There was a quote from Patty Gasso after the game talking about how this SEC gauntlet is a humbling experience, especially the Tennessee game, that OU is quite not there yet. This is something similar she said a few years ago. I think this will continue to rally the team, but the biggest problem that OU softball is facing currently is their pitching staff. They really rely heavily on Sam Landry to pitch games, and they don't really have a second or third option. Again, Kirsten Deal played really well in the second game, but has been inconsistent throughout the year. And obviously, the bats have to be more consistent as well, but just not finding a lot of consistency between or after Sam Landry and obviously losing to the Lady Volunteers, who, again, a top 10 team in the country, so there's no bad about it. This is a great softball team that they played. They did come back and beat UT Arlington 13-2 in 5 innings, but guys, I know this isn't the same OU softball team the last 4 years. Is it just going to continue to be a struggle throughout the next few years with all these inexperienced players? What are your guys' thoughts?
I think the Tennessee pitcher Pickens, she's just a problem. She's so good, and that is going to be really difficult for Oklahoma to beat. Patty Gasso said after that game that's a World Series team. So I don't anticipate we struggle too much in the SEC. Like, sure, we might drop a few here and there just because the competition might be a little bit better, but I assume we will still end up in first place.
I'm not worried about it. See you in June.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm
See you
not
in
too
June.
worried about it either, but there are going to be more losses. They are just playing a very competitive schedule in the
For sure.
SEC. So I know Patty Gasso, and then we'll figure it out. But hopefully they can find another second consistent pitcher as well. Heading over to the other diamond, OU baseball, 23-5, 5-4 in conference play. Again, they are playing also in a very heavily concentrated schedule in the SEC. They played their second SEC series against number 12 Alabama, lost the first game 6-8, had a big comeback victory in that second game 6-5, coming back late and tying it in the ninth, I believe, before walking it off, and then losing the rubber match 6-8. They did come back and beat Texas Tech in Frisco 8-6, and they will play number 7 LSU in a 3-game series in Norman. So again, if you got boots on the ground, you're in Norman, head out to Eldell Park. That is going to be quite the 3-game series against LSU. But again, very similar sort of to softball. Both sides are going to have very difficult schedules moving forward and potential teams that can end up winning either one of the World Series in either case. So good luck to men's baseball as they continue to find their way in the SEC. Moving over to men's golf, they recently competed in the Marydoe Collegiate in Carrollton, Texas, and they absolutely wiped the floor. So number 7 OU comes in and scored a under 7 for the weekend. Does anyone want to guess what number 2 was? And that was number 4 Oklahoma State, what their score was by the end of the weekend.
Giving up 6.9.
No, they were
420.
They were +9 over the weekend. That is a 16-stroke difference. That is a massive gap in golf.
I agree.
And even third was 24 with Arizona and 25 with Alabama. So they had an absolutely scorching weekend. This team has proved their consistency that they are going to be an elite team heading into the back half of the year. They have the Aggie Invitational in Bryan, Texas, this upcoming or on April 12th through the 13th. After that will be the SEC Championships on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Mason, if I don't know if you know where that's at with your time there.
I went
That is
there.
where the SEC Championships will be held at the end of April before the NCAA regionals. So hopefully OU can continue to keep this momentum moving forward. But man, 16 strokes in golf. Mason, you play golf a lot. That's quite big.
The biggest.
Big strokes.
Sorry.
Big strokes.
Big strokes.
Big strokes. Absolutely. Heading over to men's tennis, 13-6, 6-4 in conference play. Looks like they recently competed against Georgia and Ole Miss, beating those opponents 4-2, 4-3, and Alabama 4-3. So they are on a current 3-game win streak in the SEC. That's pretty big bounce back from their previous couple of losses. They will play a Red River shootout against Texas in Norman. Actually, today, we're listening to the podcast on April 3rd before they take on LSU this coming weekend. So good luck to men's tennis. Women's tennis, very similar situation, 14-5, 7-4 overall as they continue to play in the SEC. They beat Kentucky 6-1. They lost to the Volunteers 3-4, but beat South Carolina 4-2, but did play the number 1 team in Georgia, losing 4 straight, but did have a nice bounce back victories against Auburn and Florida 4-3 and 4-0. Just need to find a little bit more consistency before they take on Ole Miss and also LSU this weekend. So that is a quick Circle the Wagons update. Continued good luck to all of these programs that I've mentioned. And let me know down in the comments if I'm missing out on a program. I know I haven't talked too much about track and field, but let me know in the comments if there's any other programs I'm missing.
If that was that was an action-packed short
It was.
Circle the Wagons. You did a
It
great
was.
job, man. That was awesome.
Good job, Hugh. Good job, Hugh Gann. PGP MVP of the week time. Let's go ahead, Pat. Start us off, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm not trying to sound arrogant when I say this either. I'm gonna go with the MLB and the torpedo bats specifically.
Huh.
We've talked about me probably being able to play in the MLB in the outfield before on this
person's take.
podcast. I would like to think if I actually did play baseball, I would say, hey, can you make the bat a little bigger for me? A long time ago. And it took an MIT specialist to come in and analyze this and build a bat. That seems like the most simple thing to do and should have been done 30 years ago. Like late 90s. And
They had other solutions at that point.
are you kidding?
Great point.
That's true.
Amazing
But, like,
pull.
It's just a joke. It's a joke. The whole torpedo.
Yeah, I mean,
and it makes
bat,
baseball look like a joke right now.
Yeah, the bat's going to be
Agree with that.
the bat's going to be disbanded in like a week probably. There's no way they allow it to continue throughout this season. It's not, and I'm not saying it's not cheating on the Yankees part either. Just shout out to them for being smarter than everybody else.
You got to codify this shit.
Yeah, agreed.
They've been counting on everyone just like, nah, use this bat.
Yeah,
It's the same bat every time, and no one put it in writing. Good on the Yankees, man.
yeah. The MLB allowed people to use metal bats for like one season in like 1989, and people were like just ripping shit, and they're like, all right, we're done, and they like stopped. So like they're gonna also the Yankees playing in that joke of a stadium with that torpedo bat is even worse. They have the short porch and right. It's a wiffle ball park. It's a wiffle ball park with torpedo bats. It's funny. But good MVP, Pat. Good MVP.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, who's your MVP, man?
Yeah, Mark, who's your
Oh,
MVP?
that's a great one. I'm going to go with John Mateer. All we hear is good stuff coming out of camp, and social media superstar JD Piquel just can't shut up about him. I wish that was a little quieter. I don't understand why. Actually, I do. he can retweet it later and be like, hey, look at this. But I feel good about it, man. I'm not going to do the ridiculous thing where we compare him to the number one quarterback of the 2000s, but there's good vibes, and I don't totally buy into the Giovanni Gibson hype yet, but I like that they seem to be building a rapport. They worked out together over spring break. That's a very good thing. That's tangible. The other stuff sounds like Bauer Sharp, and I just can't get there yet. MVP John Mateer.
All good points.
Love that.
Bauer Sharp led the team in receiving last year behind Deion Burks, man. Come on.
It's not his fault. You're right. It's
Yeah,
not his fault.
Not his fault. My LVP, the OU football social media team. Breaking, due to public demand, OU football creative team announces new policy. Less fun, more football. Yeah, good. April Fools? No, not April Fools. Do that.
Do it.
Do it. Last time I checked, we won 6 games last year. I don't see Georgia tweeting out nonsense. I don't see Alabama tweeting out nonsense like that. I don't. I don't. And no, is the social media team going to help you win football games? 100% no. But they are the PR arm of your football team. And they are the message that you send out to your fans and to people on the outside. And what people on the outside see is you guys acting a damn fool playing dodgeball. I don't care. Play dodgeball. Don't post that. Don't post it. Play dodgeball, have fun, fine. But I don't want to see it. I want to see you benching or squatting or running ladders or puking because Schmitty is an asshole. I don't want to see your morning routine because it's going viral everywhere else. I don't want to see it. It's stupid.
You know what NFL team has a great social media presence? The Chargers. Look at the Chargers.
Yeah. Exactly.
The Chargers are the goofiest social media team in the
Exactly.
NFL.
And they're a joke of a football organization. They're a joke of a football organization.
Joke 'em.
That's what he's saying.
I get it now. Good
Yeah.
point. All right. I
was a
disagree
good
with
point,
it,
actually.
but I disagree with it, but I get what you're coming from now.
All right. Matt, who's your MVP?
I'll say love. The weekend of love, like Mark mentioned, 2 weddings in the same weekend.
Piece of poop.
Double the love, double the Ryans. It was a great way to end my wedding facade. I've had 8 weddings in less than 22 months, and there are currently no more on the calendar, so I can finally have my PTO back, except for mine, baby. But
I said it several times
congratulations
this
to
weekend.
them both. I'm glad Mark was there to be by my side and celebrate both the Ryans and love.
Thankfully, never.
That's my MVP.
Stood by his side.
Love that. Shout out Scuba Dooba Heil, friend of the program. Shout out to him. And let's go do it. Episode 169 is in the books. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Find us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. We will see y'all next week. Pat, take us out, man.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.